Hello, and whoa, look at this quality, lads. You can now see every single imperfection on this sexy face. From the sweat on my forehead to my very impressive monobrow, and even my beautiful Movember bum fluff. Perfect, lads, top-notch quality. But moving on to something that is quality, or just might need a quality check, is my Gameweek 9 updated wildcard draft. Well, let me tell you something, ladders. Quite a lot has updated, as every single geezer in the world out there is out here getting injured. What is happening? Sterling injured, Salah COVID, get well soon, Chilwell injured. We'll be playing bloody five-a-side fantasy if this keeps going. What's happening? But if you missed who got injured and who else may not be ready for when the actual fun football comes back after the international break, it sounds like you could do with an app to help you keep up to date, right? One which is maybe coincidentally the sponsor for today, OneFootball. So if there's one thing that happens during international break, it's all of the injuries, where all the countries literally grab your FPL players by the neck and just chuck them in the bin, ruining all of your plans. So that's why the very fast, the very reliable, the very resourceful, all-in-one football app, OneFootball, is just a great app maybe for you. It can be used to bring you all of the news to make sure you never miss out. And some quite important stories that, would be better if you did know. But also can be used during FPL weekends as well, with the goal notifications when something happens, all of the team lineups, and even more. But then we can also use it to look out for players to potentially buy for our next sexy transfer, or maybe just check out teams to see who the best performing teams are and what teams you should definitely not go anywhere near. So that is it, the all-in-one football app with all of the best features, where if you are interested, you can click on the link in the top of the video description down below and download for free today. Hey, that is OneFootball, ready to download right now. But what else is happening right now is my updated wildcard draft. And before just whapping in all of the players, I got a chinwag with the why, the where, and how for most of them, rather than just the who. I want to give you my reasoning. As don't you just hate it when people criticize your team, be like, get rid of that player, get rid of that player, get rid of that player, when you know you have concrete plans to only have him for 2 weeks, but people are like, nah, get rid. His fixtures in 17 game weeks are bad. Get rid of him now. It's like, I know, I have a plan. See, us FBL nerds have all of our transfer planned out for 10 weeks at least. So, easy stuff. But enough with that boring chitty chatter. The first player in my updated draft here is not the goalkeeper. Ooh, I'm going to do it a bit different here, lads. And go in my kind of current priority order and talk about the thought process of the options I want for the teams and fixtures going on right now, with the actual first player being a Chelsea defender. Never did I think at the start of the season that on my first wildcard, my first priority would be a flipping Chelsea defender. Was Kepa actually that bad? Yeah, he was. But with their slightly lower prices, and also all of the attacking returns they've all been getting as well, having at least one of them in your team might actually be a must right now. Yeah, I said it. But the options we have are the top scoring defender out of anyone, never mind just for Chelsea, in Curtis Zouma. We also have a Benjamin Chilwell, who on a per game or per 90 basis would actually have the most points out of any defender, as he's just played a lot less games, but very close on point. Then there's also a Reece James, who does actually have a crossing fetish, making about 73 crosses a game. But he hasn't actually got a goal or an assist since game week 1, and also probably the most rotation risky out of all of these, so probably the worst pick, right? Yeah, we'll get to that. But my special rule with defenders is always go for the fullbacks, as realistically, a centre-back just obviously isn't going to be as attacking, but also it's a lot harder to predict when they could get something, as they're pretty much only going to score from a corner, which, by the way, sometimes these fullbacks might take anyway, so it's all good. So I would much prefer a Chilwell or a Reece Jamie Jams on toast, and even though Chilwell is now actually a whole £1,000,000 more, Chilwell, is the obvious pick, isn't he? Until you realise he got injured during the international break and might not be back in time. Oh dear. So for now, I'm actually going to go for it. I'm going to go for the rotation risky boy, but the cheaper boy in Reece James. I might actually do it. He's less owned and less value for a reason, but I am actually going to have 5 playing defenders in this team, so he could actually be well worth it. As if he don't play, it's not too bad for me, and I have someone else coming in, which is why he's coming in right now. With the next player also being at Chelsea, but this time a snack attacker player. Surprisingly, they've actually scored the most goals out of any team so far. So also probably a good idea that you get one of their attackers in your team as well. Where we could go for a forward in a Werner or even a big man Giroud for the memes, no points, just vibes and mean. But I don't want to do that. And I don't want to go for Werner. So it's pretty much just Ziyech for me. Where he has had a back-to-back double holes in only his first 2 Premier League starts as well. Which, you know, I'm not a greedy bar steward and expecting that every single game from him. But with their relatively quite friendly fixtures going on here and there, and them just scoring all of the goals, he has to be in there for me. He has to be. He's still quite cheap. He's still quite low-owned-ish. And that's probably going to go up quite a lot faster as well. But he is one of the better value players in the entire game. And I feel like he's just always going to be involved in the Chelsea attack. You know, if they score, I'm going to be like, is Ziyech assisted it? Has he whipped in the most beautiful cross a man has ever seen? The answer's probably yeah. And I actually really like his price point, as there aren't too many options around at his exact price, but there's a few options down and a few options up, so he's kind of acting like a little bridge if I want to go either way, if I got a bit more cash to spend, or if I want to make a bit more cash as well. And that is why he's in this team. With the next set of players for another team in blue, who will hopefully not make me feel blue, and actually secure home all of the FPL points. Every single one of them. It's Man City. And actually top on my list for Man City is a defender. What? With the likes of Walker, Diaz and Cancelo on my hit list for now. Diaz would be the very boring, very snooze fest, very go to bed at 8 PM vibes, and just one of the most boring players ever. Literally no attacking threat, not really any risk or rotation, but just not fun and probably won't get too many points. But then we have 2 right backs who both play at the same time, thankfully not on the same side of the pitch, but both of them are actually better than like all of the 17 left backs Man City have and have had for ages. With Kyle Walker actually probably going quite under the radar for the amount of minutes he gets, actually, where he pretty much starts in every single game for City when he can, and also starts them most of the time in the Champions League as well. Like basically playing 90 minutes like 10 times a week. Like someone go test him right now. What's happening there? But he probably would be the slightly more nailed and potentially exciting option. But then we have the potential riskier but the potential genius choice of João Cancelo. He is just a fantastic footballer, who has also played all of the games in the league since he could start playing again, getting 1 assist and 2 clean sheets, but also bonus in every single game so far that he's played, apart from the game which he got an assist. Huh? That's pretty good. So if you can live with the panic of him maybe not starting all the time, he could actually be one of the best defender choices all season. For his price, for his returns, and his next upcoming run of fixtures. Because actually, the last few years, Man City's defence has always been consistent no matter who's there. And I think we forget how many clean sheets they actually get. But Cancelo could also score all of the goals as well. But also, those fixtures are so good. So sexy, man. Playing the likes of Burnley, Fulham and West Brom in just 4 game weeks in a row. I think we need one of their attackers as well, don't we? Where the only real consistent options would be a Raheem Sterling or a Kevin De Bruyne. The debate between the goal scorer or the goal creator, who would you prefer? Where I actually always lean more towards the goal scorer. As you know, more points for goals, more chance of bonus, all of that. But then you realise the creator for this team is Kevin De Bruyne. And he kind of got the most points out of anyone last season. And is just always going to deliver, isn't he? But also now, Sterling got a slight injury in international break, but might be back in time. But it just makes our decision easier, doesn't it? And less headache in my skull, as I can just choose De Bruyne. But then also, is that a bad thing? With Sterling being out, Aguero probably not ready to run another 10 feet before getting injured again. And just less creativity around the board with, David Silva gone. Will there actually be as many goals for this team? Will we see De Bruyne get to the levels that he did and get the amount of returns he did last season? We're not too sure. Now, I would rather let him answer that question whilst he's in my team rather than him not in my team, though, because we really wouldn't be surprised if he goes and gets like an hat-trick of goals and assists in one game, will we? Like, it is De Bruyne! Because he does what he likes, and I like it when he's in my team, so that is why he is here. Damn, son, I've been chatting here for about 5 years, and we've only got about 4 players in my team. Come on, Bacon Boy, speed it up, I don't want to waste your time. Like, come on, sorry, lads. With the next player that has to be in my team, or a selection of players that has to be in my team, it's a Liverpool midfielder in Salah, Mane or Jota. Salah would, and usually always is, the more obvious choice, just for those extra penalties and, extra security. But now, he kind of has the spice he called himself, and probably can he play the next game, and, sometimes some players it takes a little bit longer, so probably not a wise idea to risk him in this team here. Where Mane has actually been doing pretty well, and is all set and ready after having quite a successful international break, scoring 2 goals in 2 games, but actually taking a penalty. Ooh, Ooh, with Salah out, Fabinho out, Milner might not play. Does that mean Mane might take a penalty? Nah, probably not, but a boy can dream, right? But I just feel like I have to have one of either Salah or Mane, as even though they've had all the injuries more at the back, I still think they'll be scoring all of the goals. With some very tasty fixtures coming up soon as well, playing Fulham and Brighton soon. Now, if Salah were to miss 2 or 3 games, could Jota actually be one of the best picks in the game for a short amount of time, being a Liverpool goal-scoring winger for the price of half a Salah? But me, myself, sometimes I don't want to live life on the edge and be a cheeky scrub, so I don't want to go for him, as I want to choose players for the longer run. So Mane is in my team for now, who could very easily become Salah in a few weeks. I think you've got to remember that, these players could change in a week or so, never mind in my wildcard here. With next, the potential easiest pick out of anyone here, actually. It's England's best ever player. No, actually, right now, he's acting like it. It's Jack Grealish. But nah, okay. But he has actually shown us he can do everything right now. And people like myself have actually rated him for a while, so not really surprised. But this season, he has done pretty damn impressive, hasn't he? Getting 4 goals and 6 assists, making him the 3rd highest scoring defender. Excuse me, Bacon Boy, he's a midfielder. Making him the 3rd highest scoring midfielder, that's better. Whilst also not even being in the top 15 most expensive midfielders. That's pretty good. But what's even better than pretty good is pretty damn sexy. And that is in fact Villa's fixtures. Playing the likes of Brighton, Newcastle, Burnley and West Brom very soon. All teams you really would expect them to beat with how well they've been doing. But then again, are we going to see them struggle against teams that sit back a bit more? As right now they've obviously done very well against the very good teams, but we haven't actually seen them tested against some of the worst teams, which, is a thing depending on how the team plays on that. But no matter that, Grealish, just get in my team, lad, and get all of the points, and I'm counting on you, perma-captain Grealish for the entire season, is that good? Okay, maybe probably not, but definitely good enough to burn your team. With me also loving Villa's fixtures so much, and also this certain player has kept 4 clean sheets in just 7 games, the next player to join us is Emmy Martinez, 2nd highest scoring keeper, but has also played 1 less game, so very soon on top. And he also only started at 4.5 mil, but has already rose to 4.8 mil, because it's just no hiding how good he and the Villa defence has been. And he's also conceded the joint least amount of total goals so far, only conceded the 9 goals, which were actually all against Liverpool, Leeds and Southampton, meaning they've kept out the likes of, some pretty good teams in the Leicesters and Arsenals. So with all of that, there's not really any debate here, really, is it? Making him my potential keeper, not just for this wildcard, but maybe for the rest of the season. Yeah, I mean, that's not really ballsy, is it? That's pretty obvious. With the next, and maybe my last kind of guaranteed type of player selection here, it is an Everton forward, with the likes of Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison. Who are we going to pick? Calvert-Lewin, as we know, joint top scorer in the season, scoring in almost every game, and just incredible value. Where Richarlison is more of a winger that just gets involved more, but also takes penalties. So could get a little bit more points here and there, but also is a little bit more expensive, so is what one you want to go for. But if you're like me and own Calvert-Lewin since he was 7.0 million, I don't think it will be worth me swapping him to get in the Brazilian pigeon. So it will be a DCL added into my team to slap Fulham silly next game week, where he could even be my captain. That's actually not the craziest thing I've said, and I talk a lot of crazy. But some people might have kind of forgot already how good Everton are, and how good they probably will be again when all of their players are back fit and ready to go. Where they could even be straight back to their best ever and could still go on to win the league. Probably not, but DCL, he's in my team. And there, lads, is probably the players that are almost guaranteed, maybe 90% sure that them or their alternatives I've mentioned, like a Chilwell over Reece James if he's deemed fit, and most of the team sorted. But we still have a defender, a midfielder and a forward spot to fill, as well as a good enough bench to warm up the oranges at half time to make sure all my players are energised every game, But my next biggest decision is actually either to have a Man United or a Spurs attacker. So a Bruno or Rashford versus a Kane no Son. Now I discussed in my first wildcard draft like last week that I actually really wanted Kane, as even though they have really, really tough fixtures, I actually think Spurs will thrive more when they're playing against teams that play like that. And also Kane has kind of been the most consistent player of the entire season. It seems kind of silly to sell him, but it might happen. Because obviously Man United have a very good run of fixtures, playing West Brom at home next, probably the best for a captain choice, but then also haven't quite got as good form, you know? So it's the battle between form versus fixtures a little here. An ongoing brawl that everyone always fights about, where usually you should go for form, but they are just important as each other. And I like to go for fixtures when thinking about the captain, and that's kind of what I might have to do here. So for that reason, I think I might actually go for a Bruno Fernandes, where his FPL form, to be fair, has been very, very good, especially away from home. We're in 3 away games this season. He's got at least a goal and an assist from all of them. How? Well, also, since he's joined United, he's only had like a handful of hauls at home, which have actually all been against relegation battling teams, you know, the teams that are worse. And Bruno's next 3 games include a home game against West Brom, which, you know, the team probably most likely to get relegated, and then 2 away games against Southampton and West Ham. Could those 3 be absolutely perfect for all of the points? Probably slightly better than a Spurs player the next 3 games, right? But what I like about Bruno over a Son or Kane is just the captaincy, obviously, but more because there isn't a clear captain for Gameweek 9 in any of the other fixtures, where Bruno probably has the best one, or maybe even an Everton player where I could go for Calvert-Lewin as captain. But let me check. Yeah, I don't know if I got big enough balls for that one, not gonna lie. So yeah, for now, Bruno is in, but he could very easily become like a Son next week. Who knows, right? With the next selection being my final starting forward, and it's Sir Patrick Bamford. He's actually scored more FPL points than Calvert-Lewin, even while scoring 1 less total goal. Wowza. But I, like many, have pretty much disregarded him all season, as not only has he scored 7 goals, but he's also missed the most amount of big chances as well. Says it all with him, really. With this season, bit of a weird one so far for him, where I take away his hat-trick against Villa, and he's only scored 1 goal in his last 4 games. But then he did score that hat-trick, and the 3 games before that, he scored in each one of them. So he's not done too bad at all. And actually, the only teams he didn't score against were Man City, Wolves, and Leicester. The teams with the joint best defences in the league right now. So, you aren't really expecting too many goals against them, you. So you may not rate him as a finisher, because I don't half the time. But Leeds play with such intensity and energy. They create so many chances for everyone that I feel like the goals will just keep dripping in, you know? Where he plays teams like Arsenal, Everton, West Ham and Newcastle soon. All teams that might win against Leeds, but might not keep a clean sheet against them. Which is something we forget sometimes in FPL when looking at the fixtures. Like, if you lose, it doesn't mean you can't score, which is definitely the case with Leeds this season. Where, you know, Liverpool have conceded the 3rd most amount of goals out of everyone, but have won 5 out of their 8 games. And, you know, Salah and Mane have been scoring in all of them, but they still concede all the goals. So even if Leeds don't get the results in all of these next games, I still think Patrick Star here can just drip feed in all of those points and just bring a bit of consistency to the team. You know, I love players with a bit of consistency in FPL. With then the final big decision of the final player and the final defender. Where actually, before I reveal who I've gone for right now, I'm going to tell you my bench, which actually does contain 2 starting players right now, in James Justin and Vladimir Tofol, which I think that pronunciation's alright now, let me know. This is because they both have great fixtures, and I kind of have chosen 2 rotation risk defenders anyway, but also none of the defenders are too expensive that I feel bad for benching. Well, you know, if you have like a Trento and a Robertson, it really feels illegal to leave them on your bench. But a James Justin, yeah, it's completely fine. But the final starting defender I currently have is Hector Bellerin. Yeah. An Arsenal defender. That's right. I am that crazy. But what he produces and his cost, he's actually quite damn good, incredible value if you ask me. Where he's now only 5.1 million and is actually currently in the top 10 highest scoring defenders out of anyone. Which also included him playing some quite hard fixtures, with playing the likes of Man City, the Liverpool, the Leicester and even the Man United, all of the hard ones. So now, a very attacking wing-back, one of the most attacking wing-backs in the league, who also gets 90 minutes every game, who's also got some pretty nice fixtures in there, playing Burnley and Brighton and also West Brom soon, who I also don't mind leaving on the bench every now and again. I feel like he's actually the perfect fit for me right now. So you may in fact look at these defenders, this row of defence, and be like, nah. Just nah. There's literally no guarantee in there. There's no safety. And it could actually be in just a couple of weeks where, you know, some of these end up not even being first choice. And I might have to make some early transfers. And to that, yeah, you know, I kind of agree. But I feel like at least 3 of them will start and play. So enough to field the defence. But also, they are all options I can rely on. But also might not be punished too much for benching them as well. And yeah, that benching would give me a headache every week, and more often than not, I probably will choose the wrong set of defenders. But what would you rather right now? Constantly having points on your bench and your players doing well enough, who you could also just start the week after if they are doing really, really well, or have a really, really weak bench, and when all of these players are out, even more players are out more than ever right now, then your team is just a bit fluked, isn't it? So I myself really want a girthy and a depthy squad right now, which is what I've gone for. But then also, remember, I don't have to keep them forever, If eventually I make like a Bruno or Son, I could just upgrade one of them and have someone that, guaranteed to play or whatever, Whatever I fancy. Oh, and also the final player on my bench to finish the team is Arian Brewster, who, yeah, I know did just pick up an injury, but he's the cheapest starting playing forward, who you never know could actually do quite later on in the season and, is for the long run anyway. And that is it for now. Bloody a lot of chitty chatter going on here, isn't it? Maybe a bit too long for some of y'all, it's a bit too long for me as well. But I wanted to properly discuss and properly chinwag with all of my decision making and why I choose the players I do and how I structure my wildcard, because that might help you. And also convinces me myself that I actually want the players. You'd be surprised if you have to try and tell somebody why you're choosing a player, you then realise either you really like that player or you're like, yeah, you know what? He's not actually the best of options, is he? But again, remember, this is not a final wildcard. This is my updated wildcard draft, which you never know could completely change next week. And like 1 hour before the deadline, I could end up having like a front three of Kane, Werner and Vardy. And, that's just the way it goes. But this is my current wildcard setup, where I do have enough money for it all around, and I think I got a little bit spare as well, because I got quite a bit of money invested in some of these. But that is it for today. Thanks for watching this glorious, high-quality, out-of-breath video. And remember...
Don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now. Don't let your memes be dreams.